Today, we're going to be looking at punctuation marks. First punctuation mark we're going to like is a period. The period is placed at the end of the declarative sentence or command sentence. Statements thought to be complete and after many abbreviations. As a sentence ender, for example, Jane and Jack went to the market, period. Or after an abbreviation, her son John Jones Jr., period, was born on December, period, because December is abbreviation, DEC is abbreviation for December 6th, 2008. Question mark. Use a question mark to indicate a direct question being asked when placed at the end of the sentence. For example, are you going to the store? Question mark. I'm asking you, are you going to the store? A lot of times when you have an answer, a yes or no, and you're asking a question that involves yes or no, you have a question mark at the end. How are you doing? Question mark. How are you doing? Answer me. How are you doing? Anytime when you have an answer to a question, it gets a question mark. Where are we going? Why are you studying? I'm asking questions. Give me an answer. Now we're going to look at exclamation point. The exclamation point is used when a person wants to show a sudden outcry or emphasis. For example, within a dialogue, holy cow! Screamed Jane. You see here, I went, holy cow! During an emphasis. Exclamation point. Or to emphasize a point, you would say, my mother-in-law's rant made me furious. To emphasize what my mother-in-law's rant does to me. Makes me furious. Now I'm going to look at comma. The comma is used to show a separation of ideals or elements within the structure of a sentence. Additionally, it is used in numbers, dates, and letter writing after the salutation and closing. For example, the direct address. Thanks for all your help, John. You can say, thanks for all your help, comma, John. You hear that slight pause? That's how you can tell sometimes if a comma goes there, is by a slight pause. Separation of two complete sentences. We went to the movies, comma, and then we went to the lunch. In order to have a complete sentence, you have to have a subject and a verb. You got to have a subject and verb to make a complete sentence, and it has to be either the word and, but, or. If you have two complete sentences with those three conjunction words, then you better have a comma. And then separating lists or elements within a sentence. Susie wanted the black, green, and blue dress. These are elements, black, green, and blue. 3 elements. You got to make sure there's a comma in between elements. Now we're going to look at semicolons. Semicolon is used to connect independent clause. It shows a closer relationship between the clauses than a period would show. For example, John was hurt, semicolon, he knew she only said it to upset him. You need new brakes, semicolon, otherwise, comma, you may not be able to stop in time. Colon. A colon has 3 main uses. The first is after the word introducing a quotation. Example, introduce a quotation and an explanation, an example, or a series. For example, he was planning to study 4 subjects, colon, because we're looking for a series, politics, philosophy, sociology, and economics. Before the word in the series, colon continues. The second is between independent clauses when the second explains the first. Similar to that to a semicolon. I didn't have time to get change, colon. I was already late. The third use of a colon is for emphasis. There was one thing she loved more than any other, her dog. Now we'll look at the dash. A dash is used to separate words into statements. There are two common types of dashes. You have the N dash and the M dash. The N dash, twice as long as a hyphen, that means two dashes, is a symbol with two dashes that is used in writing or printing to indicate a range, connections, or differentiations, such as 1980-1945, or Princeton, New York trains, Princeton to New York. Instead of saying the word to, you can say Princeton to New York trains. Replace the to with a dash to get Princeton, New York trains. An M dash, longer than the N dash, can be used in place of a comma, parentheses, or colon to enhance readability or emphasize the conclusion of a sentence. For example, she gave him her answer, no. Whether you put spaces around the M dash or not is a style choice, but just be consistent. You can say she gave him her answer, comma, no. Or use three dashes for the M dash. A hyphen is used to join two or more words together into a compound term and is not separated by spaces. For example, part-time, or back-to-back, or well-known. Join two or more words, these two words, back-to-back, is three words. Brackets and parentheses. Brackets are the squared off notations, two brackets, used for technical explanations or to clarify meaning. If you remove the information in the brackets, the sentence will still make sense. For example, he, Mr. Jones, that's who we're talking about, he, was the last person seen at the house. Let's say if we got rid of Mr. Jones, we got rid of it. We can say he was the last person seen at the house. This still makes sense. But we have a dangling modifier because we don't know who he is. Now if I had Mr. Jones is my teacher, then we can use the word he. Parentheses are curved notations used to contain further thoughts or qualifying remarks. However, parentheses can be replaced by commas without changing the meaning in most cases. For example, John and Jane, both in parentheses, who were actually half brother and sister, both have red hair. You can put, instead of put parentheses, you can put commas. John and Jane, comma, who, because we're talking about them two, were actually half brother and sister, comma, both have red hair. Apostrophe. An apostrophe is used to indicate the omission of a letter or letters from a word, the possessive case or the plural of lowercase letters. For example, omission of letters from a word. I've seen that movie several times. She wasn't the only one who knew the answer. I've seen, here's the apostrophe, is usually can be used for a contraction. So I apostrophe VE is a contraction for I have, or she wasn't, was not. N apostrophe T is abbreviation for not. Or possessive case, for example, Sarah's dog bit the neighbor. Sarah's, whose dog, who does it all belong to? Sarah. Possessive case. Sarah's dog. Whose dog? Sarah. So a lot of times when you have a noun before a noun or a thing, then you better have apostrophe S or S apostrophe if it's plural. Plural for lowercase letters. 6 people were told to mind their P's and Q's. Quotation marks. Quotation marks are a pair of punctuation marks used primarily to mark the beginning and end of a passage, attributed to another, and repeated word for word. They are also used to indicate meanings and to indicate unusual or dubious status of word. For example, quotation, don't go outside, comma, In quotation, she said. Single quotations are used most frequently for quotes within a quote. For example, Marie told the teacher, I saw Mark at the playground, and he said to me, Bill started the fight. You see here, there's a quotation. Quotation within a quotation. Now we're going to look at ellipses. The ellipsis is most commonly represented by 3 periods, or it can be 3 asterisks. The ellipsis is used in writing or printing to indicate an omission, especially of letters or words. Ellipses are frequently used within quotations to jump from one phrase to another, omitting unnecessary words that do not interfere with the meaning. For example, she began to count 1, 2, 3, 4, until she got to 10 and then went to find him. So instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of saying 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then went to find him. By doing these 3 dashes here, everybody knows what comes after 4, 5. Everyone should know what comes after 5, 6, and so on. Within a quotation, we need to say an object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. He developed the law of motion. See? There's some more stuff added to that law of first motion. Newton's first law of motion. And that concludes punctuations.